In this video, I'm going to break down a new study that just came out from the Scandinavian Journal of Sports Medicine, stating that 3 seconds of weightlifting may be all you need to improve strength. Is this junk science or a new breakthrough? Let's go. What's up, what's up, what's up? My name is Mark, and this is TrainAllSports, and I hope you're having a great day because I'm going to make it a little bit better by going over some small details that make huge differences in your body's overall physical capabilities. Okay, so a study came out from the Edith Cowan University that was published in the Scandinavian Journal of Sports Medicine that examined the effects of weightlifting for 3 seconds every day. The study had 3 groups that lifted weights for 3 seconds a day for 5 days over the course of 4 weeks. And they said that those groups increased their strength. And a quick search on the internet will give you a whole bunch of articles on this that scream, click me. You know, articles that are like, you can be lazy and get super strong. And it's like, please click me so I can show you my advertisements. Please click me. So if you're following my cynicism there, it's because I analyzed the abstract of the study. I used my brain and I applied the common sense test to draw my own conclusions on this research study. But Mark, the science, we follow the science. Yeah, the science that used to prescribe radioactive water to drink or cut people open and put leeches on them to solve illnesses, the world is flat. Yeah, you get it. You get it. Most importantly, the science is not giving up your brain to someone else because they have a title. It's questioning and testing and using your own area and your own experiences to really understand what's going on. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to break it down just like I promised. And I want you to question and pressure test this study as well. And then you can make your own choice on whether you're going to weightlift for 3 seconds every day because that's how you want to get stronger. And you can decide if that's right for you. So I'm going to pull out the research study on my laptop and we're going to go over the abstract and I'm going to break it down. All right, so here it is. The effect of daily 3-second maximum voluntary isometric, concentric, and eccentric contractions on elbow flexor strength. All right, so the study compared to 3-second blah, 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 what I just said, and they did it for 5 days over the course of 4 weeks for 3 seconds a day. All right, so here's one of the most important things. It says young, sedentary individuals were assigned to one of 3 training groups. A lot to unpack there. Young people were doing the study. They're also sedentary. So you have people who are very responsive to any kind of training and they're young, so they have even more of a response rather than someone who's a lot older, who their body isn't physically as capable as younger individuals. So that's very important to understand when we're talking about it's young, sedentary people. All right, they were brought into 3 different groups with an N size of 13. That already should alarm you right there. An N size of 13 means that each group had 13 people for a total of 39 were under research. And that means if you're trying to sell something and you're a research scientist, there's just no way that you're going to sell something or be able to call something a statistically significant with an N size of 13. Usually the cutoff is 20 and we're well below that. I mean, that's almost 50% cut from the 20 cutoff. So anything there I'm already invalidating because the N size is so small. But we're going to keep going anyway. So they did this once a day for 20 days. Okay, the control group had an N size of 10. Again, super small N size. That kind of invalidates almost the whole thing for me. Anyway, we're going to keep going and explain kind of what was going on in the study. So the participants in the isometric group performed at 55 degrees. So they did elbow flexion. And I got one of these cool things. So we're going to 55 degrees. So they basically held it something like that. I can do it a little better. So they held that for 3 seconds daily. And then we had a concentric motion and an eccentric motion, and they were performed from 10 to 100. So you're looking at, you get to 10. Let's see if I can do this the right way. So that's 10, and then we're coming to 100. So that's what we're looking at here. 10, 100. 10, 100. All right. So, and that is 90. So essentially they claim here 30 degrees per second, right? 1, 2, 3 get you the 90 degrees from the 10 to 100 degrees of elbow flexion. So they wanted to measure the muscle thickness of the biceps brachii. So the easiest way to note the biceps brachii is to really just, it's your bicep muscle, but it breaks up into two. So if you just hold it, there's your bicep muscle, and you put your two fingers over there, and you've got the long head and short head that kind of wrap around your deltoid. Oh, sorry, not your deltoid, your humerus up here and into the socket. So lo and behold, the control group didn't show any changes. So if you don't do anything, turns out you don't get stronger if you don't do anything. Okay, well, that's kind of what the point of the study was, right? The eccentric group showed increases in isometric strength, concentric strength, and eccentric. the eccentric group, right? The ones who are going to lower it down showed increases in isometric strength, concentric strength, and eccentric strength. I'm having trouble with that word over and over again. All right. That gives you a p-value of 0.01, so they're basically just saying that that's statistically significant, but like I said, with the n size of 13, that really doesn't matter. Going on to the concentric and isometric group, because they were similar, they both saw a 4.4% increase in strength, but the p-value here says less than 0.05, so it was like right on there, right on the limit. 0.05 is what you call statistically significant. So not only is the n size with a sample size super small, they barely got a statistically significant answer in that small sample size. So not really feeling the validity of this study. Now, the last thing they note is there were no significant changes in muscle thickness in all the groups. So it didn't matter the 3 seconds. It didn't actually make the muscles bigger. It just made them stronger. And if that confused you a little bit, remember we talk about strength and muscle size as two different things. I'll link a video in the description so you can understand a little better if you're not following there. And performing, yeah, so the eccentric group produced the best effects, and the isometric and concentric group were about the same. So it's funny to note when you go through these research studies, everyone talks about the science, right? But a lot of times they're just people trying to experiment a little bit in a university, trying to see some kind of breakthrough, and really there's no breakthrough here. You basically told me that we'll just take it away from weightlifting. If you're a basketball player and you've never shot a basketball before and you take 3 shots every day, lo and behold, you're going to get better at shooting a basketball. But if you're already shooting 25, 30, 40, 100 shots a day in basketball, and then you drop down to 3, yeah, you're not going to get any better. You're going to get worse. So the weightlifting thing here is if you think that being strong is only lifting for a few seconds or very minimal time under tension, like it's not going to work. And if for most of you who are already here, you're weightlifting consistently, if you're going to scale it back, your body's going to be like, pfft, and you're going to see a ton of atrophy and you're just not going to get any stronger. So remember, young, sedentary, small n size, right? And I got a quote from the guy who led the study, and I want to break that down real quick. So I got a quote here, 2 quotes from one of the authors or one of the people in the study, and he said something as if even for 60 seconds, a few days a week is going to improve strength. You know, I can't really argue with that, because if you're young and you've never weightlifted before, you're going to get stronger from doing anything. Just like if I never shot a basketball and I start shooting, I'm going to get better at shooting a basketball. But here's the one that gets me. It says, many people think you have to spend a lot of time exercising, but it's not the case. Okay, so many people think you have to spend a lot of time exercising, but it's not the case. That's a very definitive answer from someone who did a very minuscule, very minor research study saying it's not the case that you don't have to spend a lot of time. Well, it depends who you are, right? And depends what your goals are. So that whole sentence is too definitive for most of you, or probably all of you reading this. And then he says, short, good quality exercise can still be good, and every muscle contraction counts. So it can be good if you've never done anything before. Like I said, I love this basketball example because it just makes so much sense. If you go out and shoot a little bit, you're going to get better at basketball. But if you're already doing a lot, already shooting basketball, or in this case, already weightlifting, doing a little bit isn't going to do anything. Only thing I can see coming out of this research study right now in my foresight is that if you are injured and you have a traumatic injury, then you can only get, 10 seconds of some kind of muscle contraction before your body gives out, your nervous system acts up, that it's better than nothing. And I think we already knew that. So no big revelations here. I don't know. I think I'm going to break down some of these research studies more often. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's a little bit of a rant, but I've looked at so many research studies and I've done analytics myself plenty of times where I kind of see where these people are going and where their faults are. So if you guys want to know that, let me know in the comments below. Also drop in a research study that you think is kind of weird, and we'll go from there. And please don't click on the clickbait so you can look at all those stupid advertisements that all these people say that you're going to get stronger for 3 seconds. Probably not a thing for you. All right, I'll see you in the next video.